Morning everyone. I'm just about to join the Crazyhouse Shield arena for December 2019. And it looks like at the moment it's a two-horse race between gsvc and TheFinnisher. So I haven't seen gsvc play in a little while. And I'm sure when he sees me joining he'll go, "Oh no, not Mugwort." I think I should be the one going, "Oh no, not gsvc." He's back. He's back from his OTB tournaments. So it looks like about 270 players so far have joined the Shield. And got to work my way up the leaderboard. There's almost 3 hours to go. And probably berserking most of the games with opponents under 2000 at least. But it's a little bit hard to berserk for me being a slow old player, especially on the high end of the ratings. And I mean, if my opponents are 2000 plus or 2200 plus, it's a bit hard for me. Very similar to a game I had yesterday. I think I only got to play one game in the what do you call it? I got to play one game in the daily arena yesterday when I was on the train. And this is quite a similar game to it at the moment. Nothing much happening in terms of attack. Black has sacked a piece for a pawn, white's sacking back. I'm more concerned about the time than anything else. Maybe just stick a pawn in here. And a little bit of a hole on f2 to exploit, but maybe I could put a knight in there. Maybe that'll be more useful. Actually, there's a piece hanging. That's good to spot a piece hanging like that. Bishop at h2. Actually, I'll just drop a pawn in here. Should be relatively comfortable the rest of the game. So it's really all about speed to win a Shield event like this. Which means I don't get to win them too often. Yeah, the more 30-second games you have, the better. So let's go back to the top 10. GSV dropped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games all day so far. I wonder if he's been playing the whole 3 hours. To get a score of 148, you'd assume so. So I might be able to catch up to 100 or 120, but yeah, it's going to be a little bit hard to catch the top 2. I'm just checking out the layout, making sure you can see the A file if you're watching. Looks good to me. So my opponent, Mario Maritos. I might go knight a4 if h6 before castles. Wow, very aggressive. Sack already on f2. Save the rook. Yeah, if he drops a pawn, I just step to the side. We trade here, and then there's a knight hanging if he wants to take back with the f-pawn. So 6 AM here in Sydney, and obviously it was a little bit hard to get up for the first 3 hours of the Crazyhouse Shield, starting at 3 AM my time. Don't see any reason why I shouldn't just take this and Keep pushing forwards. Maybe knight at c5 next. Yeah, I'll sack the piece that way. We'll see if Mario can survive. It's not looking likely though. Yeah, let's dance around a bit with the knights. Knight cd7 to finish. Not sure if I can do this any faster. Right, so I see you can't quite see the numbers on the left hand side, but I don't want to keep changing the display. So I'm up to 103, place 103 out of 276. The finisher this time on board 1 against Lazy MD. Mi Vallejo. Let's berserk again. Alright, this is a fun line where you sack early on f7 and throw the queen out to avoid an exchange. Pawn at f5 is I'm a little unfamiliar with. You'd think the pawn on f6 at some point would be useful to stop, well, maybe not prevent the knight drops completely, but at least when the king goes back somewhere to push the knight away. Let's see. I probably should be taking that bishop. If I don't take it, it's pretty hard to get rid of otherwise. I could have chased the king out a little bit further first. So with the king in front of the other pieces, it's pretty awkward for black to develop, and now it's made in 2. That's what we need, a few quick games. Crazy Home in the arena chat's talking about the John Wick of Crazyhouse. Who's the John Wick of Crazyhouse? Maybe he's talking about Elix82. Oh, there's a GM, Cake in Space. Not sure who that is. VZN2. Next opponent. C5. I'm going to go for J Killer's aggressive line where you sack the queen, sack the bishop, put the knight back. Always fun to sack the queen so early. And I think it is actually recommended for black to sack back on g5. Whoa, king f6. We have a very brave king. How should I do this? Doesn't really matter how, just fast. Maybe I didn't do this the best way if I run out of checks already. I'm meant to be the one attacking. Huh. Perhaps I just come back with the bishop for now. We'll try and conjure up something. Could have gone pawn at f5, I guess. Pawn at f5 or... I'll take this one first. Actually, my knight's hanging here, isn't it? It's a bit awkward. Let me go knight d2, sack another piece. Uh-oh, I'm in a bit of trouble here. The sack hasn't quite turned out how I intended. Whoops. Oh, that's okay, I guess. What do we call that? A semi-pre-move? Yeah, I'll pick up the queen. Maybe drop the bishop on first just for extra defense. And then start looking for mates again. Not exactly sure what I'm doing. Probably pawn f5, get rid of the bishop's more important than taking the rook right now. Alright, time, 12 seconds. Let's just focus for a second. I don't think black is surviving this. Shouldn't be anyway. There we go. But yeah, a bit scary when I sacked the knight on g5. That was a bit too much. And perhaps knight at d5 check wasn't the right move. I don't know. I'm going to keep berserking until I lose a game at least. I think it's kind of necessary to catch up, at least to the top 10 page. Pawn at d4. Nope, he doesn't want to trade. So a bit of a hole here on e3. I can drop a pawn straight in. There's either pawn at f2 or maybe trade this one and try and get the knight first. Bishop f5. Oh, alright. I guess just pick up the queen if I could have done it via bishop. Add a knight at knight at d2. I can leave the knight there. The rook isn't running away. I don't know whether it's really that useful at the moment to collect a rook. Perhaps moves like knight d4 would be more useful. Knight at g3. I'm not sure what the purpose is, but I'll just keep pushing forwards. Rook c1. Maybe drop a bishop in the direction of the king and see what happens. Pawn at f3. I think I would like a knight. I would like to order a knight. And a few more seconds. A few tradies. Let's just take everything off the board. well, this way, actually, I've still got to remove the knight. But perhaps he thought there was a mate coming. So it looks like rook at g1 is the main threat. Maybe also moves like bishop at e3 would be good. Rook at e1 check also looks good. Yeah, so I'm going to switch plans and go for the light squares if he's going to defend the first rank like this. Actually, I'm not sure where this is going. I have an idea. It's going to take a while though, 15 seconds. Yeah. Good defense. Don't know whether I'm going to do this in 8 seconds. Oops. No, that wasn't check. That was mate. That was just pure luck. He could have thrown in a rook at h8 or something and flagged me. I didn't even see that was mate. I was only trying not to flag. So yeah, I think I've had enough of berserking today. What are we up to? 21 points. A lot of catching up to do. Yeah, sometimes over here it says Mugwort is streaming and sometimes not, so I can never really tell. Let's see what Lichess thinks. Yeah, well, I think I'm streaming. Alright, let's... Oh, he resigned already. I can't even berserk if they resign so early. So somehow I'm up to 28th place after 6 games. On a bit of a streak. But yeah, I think the games are getting luckier and luckier. That one ending with 0.9 seconds with a random drop and I didn't even realize it was mate. Alright, so I'm not going to berserk this one. My nerves are shattered already after those 2 last games. Okay, e5. We have a winner in Crazyhouse. Knight c6. Just looking at the move Queen g4, I don't think I've ever played it in this position. Stick to normal moves. h5, wow. Never seen such a beast. Perhaps just go bishop g5. Trying to provoke f6. And yeah, bishop d3. Gotta be a bit careful if he ever gets a pawn for e4. He's just playing patiently at the moment, waiting to see what I do. Let's go a3, pick up the bishop. Nothing wrong with castling either. because I have h4 covered if he wants to go violent and aggressive on me. Looking at a sack on d5 and then pawn at f6. Pawn at g6, possible too. Moves like knight h4 at some point. Yeah, I can't resist. Pawn at d6, also possible. But I like this one just because it gets closer to g7, which is normally in the French the most sensitive square for black. Actually, now looking at bishop takes 2. So e takes... gains time attacking the knight, but once the knight moves, the bishop is kind of stuck on g5. Anyway, I think either way is good. I was expecting rook g8 and some counter sack, but I don't think he had anywhere near enough. How are we going to do this? Just take on f3 first. Hello, Katask. People are quiet in the chat today if they're watching. Queen takes h5. Funnily enough, I don't have any rook drops on the 8th rank. Not yet. Maybe I make some space with bishop f6. So Kata's going to catch gsvc and the finisher. That's a bit of a tall ask right now. They're on too many points. Queen f7, king f7, rook f6, king g8. How do I do this and not lose the bishop on h8? I'm not exactly sure. I just bring it out of the way. So now we have a square to use on the back rank, while keeping the pin on the knight if it's useful. I'm still trying to do this by force with a queen sack, or a move like rook at f8, pawn at g7, queen h8. I don't know. I can't calculate. I can't think at this time of the morning. So let's just sack a queen anyway. Alright, are we catching up? Where am I? Ah, number 20. Can't see the numbers on the side. But what are we going to do to catch up to the first page? The Lone Wolf played a few, and then retired on 36. So I don't think anyone's going to catch the top two, gsvc and the finisher. Okay, G. Rogers. I always seem to get the white pieces. When is the last black I had? Maybe the last guy resigned when he was white. What have I been playing? Mainly one knight f6. Too afraid to take a free knight in the opening. Ah, knight d4. Well, this is not what I'm used to. Knight g5. There's a Jasugi kind of move. Bishop sack. Don't really know what the move is here. Maybe I'll just take and think later. Knight d5. Bishop g5. I don't know. c6. How do we sack something and get away with it? That's not too ridiculous. Maybe knight h5. That's not a sack. Yeah, it's okay. Just hesitating for a moment, but it's okay. Bishop back to b6. What's the purpose of this move? I don't know. It's giving me a pawn. It's giving me 2 pawns. Do I want? Ah, he's preparing an evacuation. I'm just going to take the pawns. Can't see why not. I don't want all my pieces hanging, so I should get something out of the way. Perhaps knight back to h5. Knight at g4. It's worthwhile defending, I guess. Or maybe just a move like pawn at h3 to provoke. Yeah, pawn at h3. I'll provoke him to take on f2. Yeah, he's got knight g4 check if he wants, but I think that's okay. Knight takes, saves the bishop. I guess he's got bishop takes. Unless there's a clever submission sug I can do, but I don't see. Ah, he doesn't want the knight. So I guess I'm going to give him a few pawns and run away. No. Knight back to f3. Probably more useful to put the bishop on, actually. So 3 pawns he's not going to be able to do much with. Bishop is more useful for him, but I think if I put all my pieces on the white squares, then I can't fall for a fork with any bishop drops. So just stepping back to e2 so there's no more checks. Alright, and now pick up the rook. So I can pretty much do this part without thinking. I guess he had bishop d7. Alright, place number 17. I've had a couple of slightly slower games. I don't know whether Katas caught the one where I had 0.9 seconds and I accidentally found a mate in one. I think my opponent certainly missed a flag in one in that game. I don't know how to say this name. I keep wanting to say Octopus Manol. Autocolobus. Flagging combinations are quite difficult with the 2-second A, but I was berserking under 2000, so I played a few opponents who are under 2000. Knight f3. Bishop g4, I suppose. Bring the bishop out before e6. I think at some point I'm going to take on c3, I'm just not quite sure when. If I play h5, Katas will go, no h5. I'm just remembering some previous stream. Bishop takes g4. Knight at h4, queen g4. Yeah, that pesky queen on g4. I don't like the look of it. Alright, I'm going to do it anyway, even though I don't like the look of it. A knight at g5 is another option. But I actually want to bring the knight back to f5 and then I can hit the queen with h5. Well, that's the idea. Maybe I should be taking on c3 first. Maybe I should have taken this a long time ago. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay if he goes takes and queen takes e4. Then it opens up the d file for me. I actually think bishop at h5 might be a good move here. Increment is like having a queen next to your king. Flag is possible, but requires exceptional skill. Flag is possible with a 2-second increment, no berserking. Yeah, I mean, not this game, I'm talking about 5 games ago. Ah, okay, so knight at h5. Yeah, there's a likely queen sack if I block out the g5 knight at g6 or something. It's a queen sack on f5. So I think I should just go... rook g8. Pawn on f6 is a bit of a nasty blow. No, he doesn't have a pawn for f6. Oh, he's just making a joke. Flag is possible. Oh, yeah. You're asking me to multitask again. It's quite challenging at the best of times. Bishop takes. I don't really want to take this at all. I'd rather make a bit of room. I just think this move's a little dangerous. A bit stumped here for a move. "56 seconds. I'm going to take it anyway, even though it's very risky. Well, the opening when the king and queen reverse, I call that the transvestite opening. You know, when the king ends up on d1 and then you replace the queen on e1. The queen and the king have switched places. I wonder if I can get away with castling queenside at some point. There's a lot of captures possible. Captures, checks everywhere. Hard to tell if he's going to take the bishop or go for g7. I wonder if even queen takes e5 was possible. But, yeah, too many bishops. This queen is a bit vulnerable on d4. King d7. Start evacuating over to c8. Problem is he's poked a hole on b7, so... yeah, maybe I'll survive. It's not going to be easy. This time I'll take once, come back. Yeah, that queen on g4 just keeps the king so safe. What do you do when your opponent has a queen on g4? I still haven't worked out after all this time. Pawn at d7, can I just go... oh, this is very scary. He's going to take on g8. I'm thinking about saving the rook and just getting rid of that nasty pawn. So c5, the square I have to cover. Yeah, perhaps just bishop at b6. At least it points in the right direction. Yeah. Do I really need another bishop? Uh-oh. I'm not sure whether this was actually survivable. Maybe a move like rook a b8 and king a8 was... yeah. I think I'm dead. Hey? That's not check. But I have no move. Yeah, what to do? Nice game from Otokolobus. I don't think I should have allowed the queen to g4 in the first place. So either bishop h5 instead of trading on f3, or the finisher. Let's wait for the finisher to berserk and then not berserk back. d4. Alright, we'll see what he's got in store for me today. d5 on move 2. Well, I've never played c6 in this exact position. I wonder if you can do it. I'll just go knight f6. Stick back to the usual stuff. Now it's been so long I forget what I normally do here. e6, I suppose. Bishop d2. Okay, bishop c5. I think I tried this against him once and it worked out well, but maybe he'd already played pawn e4, I'm not sure. I'll just come back. I'm not sure whether he has any useful discoveries with the knight on c3. Someone is challenging me to half-zero standard at GM. Maybe he thinks I'm good at chess. I don't know why you would think I was good at bullet. What do you call it? Hyper bullet? Ultra bullet? One of those. Yeah, so this is similar to a previous game we had, but without the pawn on d4, and then the bishop came out to c5. So I actually think I should get castled pretty soon. Perhaps now would be a good time. Yeah. Even the option of queen takes f5. I'm considering. I just think it helps to keep certain lines a bit more closed. So bishop d3, I have the option of pawn at e4. Bishop c4 doesn't look so dangerous now. And there's always moves like pawn at h6, but white's a little bit underdeveloped on the king's side to start attacking me so early. Pawn at g5. So to make bishop d3 more of a slashing threat towards my king. Perhaps just leave the knight here and counterattack. Yeah, I didn't like pawn at e4 because then gf6. Bishop f6, knight at g3. Yeah, I really don't want bishop d3 to come with tempo. Oh, wow, we got a raid from No Joke Chess. Thank you so much. Come at a very difficult time. 1 minute on the clock and an awkward position because I'm getting harassed by knights, by 3 knights. Hello, No Joke. Yeah, so you've joined a Crazyhouse stream. I'm not sure whether everyone is aware of that. Take on f3. That evens up the balance. Queen trade is not really what I want right now, but his bishops are pointing at my king and it's looking a bit scary. Pawn at g2. I'm going to have to play some sort of a defensive move against pawn at h6 very soon. Yeah, he's going to castle queenside, but I'm running out of time, running out of ideas. Knight at h4. Now, I'm very scared of these bishops here on d2 and d3. Alright, but this time we can start with not a queen drop, but a pawn drop on a3. Always useful to have the bishop on e7 backing it up. Hello, Numeroid. I have no idea whether anyone who just joined is a Crazyhouse player or not. But perhaps I should mention that it's a game where shogi style, if you take a piece then it becomes yours. Trade here. Bishop at, or I'm going to have pawn at a3. And I do actually have the increment this time, so I berserked the first 6 or 7 games of the arena. A very long event. Queen at a2 doesn't seem to work out so good. Yeah, what do I do on this? Looking at bishop b4 even. Let me just start with knight takes f3. Not so sure whether I should be opening this line. Uh-oh. I don't see much. Alright, it's crunch time. And I'm actually going to allow a sack on g7 if he wants to do it, because I don't see how 4 pawns help that much. Thanks for the follow. Sorry, I got 4 seconds. You know, there's more important things to do right now. Yeah, knight takes c3. I would like. It's actually quite hard to know whether to attack or defend when there's a rook bearing down against you. Yeah. Okay, that's made him one. I had to make a move in 0.1 seconds. It was a bit too tough. Not sure what the response was to pawn at h6. Because at first I was looking at bishop f6. That doesn't work because the knight takes. If I have to drop the queen on the board, I'm kind of losing my attack. So, actually thought I was doing alright after pawn a3, and then knight a4. Maybe there's a better move than taking on b2 straight away. I was very close to crashing through on the queen side. And white always has to be careful of a smother mate theme when you drop a queen in the corner, and then there's a knight at e2, but there was only the bishop covering. It's a little bit hard to chase away the key pieces with tempo, which is what I was trying to do. gsvc. He's starting knight f3. Well, let's try the same rubbish. It gives white some extra options like e4. Yeah. What do we do here? Knight f6. d3. And I'm thinking I should just let him take and not bother holding it, because it's quite dangerous. Knight c3. Maybe now's a good time for bishop b4. So I want to kick away this knight with a move like pawn at h6. And I'm just not sure whether to castle first, because pawn at h6 does allow pawn at f7, but then king f8. If his knight's retreating, of course, I can just pick up the pawn. There's moves like queen e7 as well. So it's either pawn at f7 or castles. Yeah, pawn at h6. So gsvc doesn't like dropping pawns for no reason. So if he drops a pawn in there on f7, then haha, okay. Yeah, I was half expecting something like this, but what's the idea? Once the pawn gets to g6, it's quite hard to remove. Probably should leave the knight there, because I think his aim is to gain access to h5. Also stop me castling at the same time. What about g6? Yeah, I'm going to go g6 and queen takes f6. So a knight and 2 pawns. And the rook can also swing across to f7. Knight at g4. Yeah, he's inviting me to take on c3 twice, but I don't think it's a good idea. Now, what would I have in that case? I have 2 knights and 2 pawns, but then be faced with something landing on f6. I'm going to waste too much time with the queen. Maybe I should step back to f8 instead. So yeah, h6 is also a target for white here. Bishop d3. Knight at h4. Just trying to defend and attack at the same time. Could look at pawn at f3, but g3 I'm not sure how to respond. Just better to develop a piece or play d5. Yeah, pawn at g3 is what I'm quite concerned about because of knight at f6 in the end. Yeah, got no good answer at the moment. Pawn at f5. Yeah, I can't even really afford to take the knight back because then g6 is hanging. But then what do you do against a knight at f6? I have no answer. Come back. Yeah, he's gonna trade and then take over this square eventually. Yeah, king's so safe on d2 as well. I'm gonna resign. So it's a nice move, knight at g4, and then knight at h4 looked good because it forced rook g1, but then I had to find a better move to perhaps cover g6. Either g6 or f6. So I've slowed down a bit. How many hours do we have to go? Still another 2 hours. My aim at the start was to at least make the top 5. I should be able to make the top 3 really. Depends if these guys are retiring or not. I'm still about 50 points behind. Alright. I don't want to berserk Guilty King because he plays instant moves. Bishop d2. Maybe queen takes. Not exactly sure which one was better. Take there, knight g5. Yeah. Probably leave that there and try to counterattack. Queen trade is not favorable right now. G5 is hanging too. So perhaps just a nice calm defensive move, bishop at f4. And now that bishop will be useful for b5. Opponent offers a draw. Oh, we just go queen e2. And take the knight, or take g7 is an option too. Maybe just bring the knight back before I think about trading the bishop. Threatening pawn at g7 is allowing. And I got to decide if bishop at d2 check can be allowed. I don't see why not. I mean, I probably should take this, but then queen takes h. I don't actually have a good follow-up, so I'm actually thinking about getting rid of the bishop. Feels a bit safer. There's still some targets everywhere. Now I'm going to let him promote with a check. Ah, he doesn't want to. Okay. There's lots of ways to do it. I'm going to start with bishop at f6, even though I could have dropped it further back. It does have the advantage of covering h8. And if he takes, then often where I go wrong is when I've got too many good-looking options and I can't decide between them. Here bishop c5 is just a maiden one. His king was a bit too exposed after he allowed knight takes g7 check. He probably should have dropped a pawn or something to cover, maybe a bishop on h6 or a pawn on g7 to cover the hole. And you might as well promote with check when you have the chance. I mean, at the very worst, you can sack the fake queen because it doesn't count as a full queen for whatever piece I block with. So knight f3, f5. I know it never turns out good for black. I didn't think it was meant to be that bad. Devil 1313 playing the Sicilian defense in Crazyhouse. Not very popular. I wonder if he's going to go knight off. It looks like one of the quieter options in chess, but it's probably one of the best moves in Crazyhouse. Okay, so no reason why not castle. Looking at moves like pawn at g5, just to push the knight back to d7, you would assume. Wow, that was unexpected. So what's this, a queen sack for a knight and a pawn? Is that really worth it? I'm going to sack back and allow knight takes c3, and then he can take the queen on d1 if he wants. Oh, dropping a queen. Can't predict my opponent's moves. Can't see any reason why not take, displace the king, and perhaps start with bishop at a5 check. So it can't be hit by a pawn. Yeah, surely going to sack the bishop at some point. It's only a matter of when. Might as well take the knight back. So lots of ideas, including knight takes e6 check and knight at f7. Yeah, and the bishop on f3 helps to stop any kind of knight checks that he might have when my king looks safe, although it's not really. Don't know whether I can do this by force, but let's just start with bishop takes c7. And queen and a... Where's the queen and rook checkmate? Should be a classic mate here. I don't know. For some reason I can't find it. Bishop h5, g6. I still don't actually see it. Where is the finish? Rook at f6, g takes. Doesn't work. This is a bit disappointing. I have to resort to some normal looking moves. What about pawn at f6? Does that work? Threatening rook at e7 and queen e7. Oh, looks fun anyway. I'm going to refuse to take his queen. Okay, avoiding trades. Yeah, prolongs the game a little bit. Okay. Yeah, it'll be a miracle if he survives this one. Made him one. Alright, that was way longer than it should have been. Next. So lost 3 in a row. GSVC, he's going to go knight f3 again. No, he switched it up, e4. Oh no, not GSVC again. He's my bogeyman. Bishop c4. Oh, this is an old line. Katas played this against me a few days ago. So d4, I'm going to try this time knight takes c3. And bishop d6. So just inviting him to put a pawn on e5 if he wants. Perhaps it's not such a good idea. Pawn on h6. Alright. I'm going to take that and then knight, king f8 and pawn at g7. Actually I meant to take on h2. Whoops. I think I'm already close to lost. Yeah, this is really hard to cover g7 now. Knight at g6 is a bit sad. But the problem with knight at f5 is just he hits it with a pawn at e4. Yeah, I think I'll have to go this way, unfortunately. Yeah. But what choice? G7 terminally weak. Bishop takes pawn on f5, I guess. That's his idea. There you go, pawn at e2, trying to deflect the queen away from f5. If he takes, it's not only bishop f5, but perhaps it's worth putting a knight in on f4. Not sure, bishop takes, knight takes, queen moves. I'm giving him extra pieces in that case. Yeah, so he's trying to gain access to f6, that's the whole idea. Still looking at knight at f4. Ah, okay, didn't see this one. Yeah, it's a brute force approach. King e7, take this way, actually either way. And take this way, he's got a lot of pawns. Probably too many, I think I have to give the rook as well. The problem is then he takes f6 is coming at some point when it's... he might need another pawn first though. Don't know whether I really have anything to play for. I guess bishop takes, but he's going to deflect the bishop away from the knight on f4. So it's going to be dropping. Pawn takes, bishop takes, pawn at g7. I could try king h7, but it's a bit desperate. Okay. Yeah, but what choice do I have? I have to allow it. King h7 gets mated to rook at h8. What if I go this way? I'm gonna come back. So rook at g8 is possible. You're trying to lure the king, attract the king to g8. Ah, nice. Didn't see knight at c5. Well, I didn't actually see a force mate if I went up to h5. Yeah, problem is I had no counterattack, so even just a quiet move, something at g3 or f3 or whatever. But I lasted longer than I probably should have after the opening. So suddenly running into some very tough opponents when you get to the top 30. Play Marco. Let's try just going a bit faster and not thinking too much. Yeah, also getting black against all the strongest players doesn't help. Can't remember the last time I had a white against anyone over 2400. I'll just ignore everything in castle. He's wasted a lot of time in the opening. Oh, it's a mate in one. So we seem to have stalled on about 300 players. I'm not sure what the record is for Crazyhouse Shield. We have currently 316. Still a long time to go, 1 hour 45 minutes. John Stuckey. Now John Stuckey is the current shield holder, but there's a good chance he's going to lose it today to gsvc or TheFinnisher. So currently gsvc has a 5-point lead. Knight h3. That's interesting. I might even play a funny move in response. Knight b6. And e5. So putting the question to this knight immediately from the opening. He's letting me take if I want. Or is it better to go queen h4? Yeah, I'm not playing so well today, so I'm probably be looking for some distractions. White Dancing Rockstar might make me play better. Maybe if I think less. Berserk more, think less. Yeah, I mean, that was the idea, and then bring the queen all the way back to d8. I don't know, was there any purpose doing that? Makes him waste a pawn on g3. I didn't actually see there was any great benefit in trading the knight on h3. Yeah, I mean, it also means he can't drop a pawn on h6 after castling. So even h6 is worth considering right now, just so it makes f5 eventually into a threat after castles. I mean, you could also put the pawn on f5, but actually looking at pawn to f5. Yeah, it looks okay. Queen b3, 3 check, king h8. Yeah, so he's trying to take advantage of this. A little weakness on g6, f7. And of course the queen trade here favors white. Let's have a think. Perhaps just ignore it and bishop e6. Oh, it covers one of the two squares, which is critically weak, like g6 is the other one. Yeah, knight c5. I don't want to make too many trades right now. because he's going to start dropping all over the light squares. So and if I come back, yeah, king h8 is still safe. So bishop d5 is the other option. I'm going to go bishop d5. Oh, hang on, that wasn't so good. My position is a little bit suspicious after f5. Yeah, and bishop h5 was the exact response to make it feel like I want to bring that pawn back to f7. Now, of course, I could also, if I have time, put a pawn on f7 if I'm worried. But I think if my opponent plays the right way, he doesn't have to let me get the time to play him a defensive move like pawn on f7. So the whole strategy was based on trying to make as many of his light pieces. Yeah, I mean, that's the move, of course, bishop c4. And if I come back to c6, then there's knight e6, and then the rook takes the rook at e8, and so on. And one idea was to go pawn at g4. And he can grab these two pawns for a piece. I'm going to try and make it hard for him to get a knight for g6. Perhaps now I could defend. There's also moves like bishop at f3 if it's any good. It's worth a look. Perhaps take on c5 first, because I think a knight will come in handy very soon. And then I don't actually have to use the bishop, I can use the pawn, because he can't go back. That's what the knight was for, the knight on e2. And the knight also helps if he takes the rook as an extra attacking piece. Bishop at e4, alright. Yep. So if no immediate threats, perhaps a move like bishop at e2. Yeah, I'm not so sure about this move though. He's grabbing a knight for g6. So it's now or never, huh? No, that doesn't work. Uh-oh. Yeah, I don't actually see it. I don't see what I'm doing. Yeah, it's too many squares to where he can drop a knight. Yeah, I didn't see anything in the end. Thanks for the follow. Entire sleeve. So it looked like a good idea. I mean, when the queen rook takes f3, the rook just gets in the way. That's a good response, bishop at e4. And I didn't see any follow-up. And because he had a lot of pawns, there were weak squares on e7, f7 I was also concerned about. Perhaps the whole idea is just bad, but yeah, anyway. Nicely done in defense with bishop at e4 from Mr. Stucky. Black resigned, alright. GG. GSVC and TheFinnisher are playing on board 1. You can see GSVC trying to take over the back row, defending with a knight on g2. Can't tell from here what pieces they have in hand though. Alright, Sicko. Time for an opening switch, I think. Let's go something more aggressive. c3. I'll take that. Knight takes e5. All right. Yeah, probably just pawn at h3. I can't see any real danger. Take that. Still no danger because the knight gets in the way, so just take on g2. Looks good. And probably I want to save the queen. Should I be going knight e6 instead? Yeah. So of course he has to deal with the threat. I think the only way is by taking on g2. And time to start looking at mates. Queen at g4, blocker. Doesn't quite work. Just go pawn at h3. And then if he takes queen at f3 was the idea. Unless it works better to go pawn at g4, h5, king runs, queen at g4, king e3. This is surely got to be good, queen at f3. So the only safe square will be h4. I just couldn't see a finish, but I think no need to hurry. Bishop at f5 perhaps, check from a distance, and that makes room for the queen if he goes to h4. So that's one idea. Yeah, I was thinking even just play h6 now. Because if he doesn't have any counter checks, I mean it's impossible to stop something landing on g5. It looks like a mate in 2 unless he wants to throw away all these pieces first. Half as many viewers as Penguin. Oh, doesn't he normally get a couple of hundred? And what's he doing right now? Is he playing in the Hyperbullet Arena or something? Or did he only just start like 5 seconds ago? Alright, we finally get a white. Every time I half pay attention, I turn my eyes back to the board, I've got a black again. I always seem to get black against the strongest players. And just the luck of the dice, the luck of the draw. So emphasis, knight g4. Gonna respond knight g5. And then if he wants to mirror me, I think queen f3 is good for white. Maybe he just started. Yeah, so if knight f2, I've got to decide which sequence to do it in. queen f7 you can go sometimes, but only if you can do it with check or there's no queen at h1 in response when he eventually goes to h8. So knight f2, and there's rook f2, there's also bishop f7 or even knight f7 in response. And queen d7. So options here. Knight f7, rook f7. Look for brute force attacks first, I suppose. Rook f7. Bishop takes, queen takes, so I have a pawn and a rook in hand. Can't I go rook at h8 and then... And then queen takes f7. So he has to defend the back rank. And then I have pawn queen. So move, I don't know, move the bishop or something. I'm not even that convinced. I should just do a building up move first. Bishop e3. I don't know. Couldn't work it out. So I was looking at knight f7, rook f7, bishop f7, queen f7, and then deflecting the king way via rook at h8. I wasn't expecting this one. So what's wrong with taking? Pawn at g4, queen g3, bishop takes, f takes. It looks fine. Yeah, so now you also start looking at moves like queen takes f7, rook takes, bishop takes, queen takes, rook at h8 must be good. So I'm just going to do that without thinking. And now look for a mate. So queen at something at here. There's knight at h6. Take, take, king there. It depends what he has on f8 though. If he has a rook, then pawn at f6 wins. Yeah. If he has a bishop, queen f7 wins. So you'll see in a second what I was looking at. So this way it's queen f7, queen g8. If he had a rook, pawn at f6 was a nice deflection of the king to take the rook for free. Otherwise, if rook takes, I had queen g8. So I don't think it mattered which piece he blocked with on f8. It's the same outcome. So yeah, not doing so good with black today. I think all the games. Let me just have a quick look. Lost with black, lost with black. Yeah, I lost 5 games with black and somehow I had 3 blacks in a row. Now that doesn't normally happen in an OTB tournament, does it? 3 blacks in a row. Don't know how that happens on Lichess. But yeah, I did better when I started playing more aggressive openings with black. But 2 people beat me with d4 or knight f3, so I'm not sure if there's any way you can play aggressively against d4. I was going to berserk, but doesn't matter. We'll try and end the game with more time than I started. How about that? I'll make that the aim. Knight at f6, mate in 3. I didn't understand that one. In which position exactly? Oh, can you tell me after which move? Was it after queen at e8 check? So bishop at f8, knight at f6 check. Takes, knight at h6. Ah, okay, so instead of queen at e8. Yeah, that's one of those bizarre moves because it leaves both the knights hanging on f6 and f7. But I get the point now that if g takes, then you have queen at g8, then queen at e8, or the other way around. Something like that. Alright. If you see mate, you just go for it. Oh no, I was gonna challenge myself to end with 3 minutes. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there was a game against Vectorveld where I had a mate in 2 and I missed. I did a mate in 4 in the Crazyhouse Team League. Because I saw the mate in 4 instantly, so I just played the mate in 4. And I realized after the game there was a mate in 2. So knight at h6, mates in 5. I'm sure that's very likely. Yeah, so after queen f3, he went queen d7. Maybe if you can tell me, was knight takes f7 any good? Because I had a good look at it, and rook takes f7, bishop takes f7. I mean, I thought it was okay, but nothing really that special. So if he goes g takes here, Stockfish agrees with how you did the sack on f7. So I did like a slow build-up move with bishop e3, I think, rather than just taking immediately after queen d7, because I didn't really see anything that forcing. But then he sacked a knight. I didn't quite understand, because even if I'm not the one attacking immediately, the queen could step back or come around to g3 and h4 and so on. Okay, it prefers knight takes f7 to bishop e3. Yeah, and I wonder if it likes the idea of bishop takes f7, queen takes, and then deflecting the king away via rook at h8. Because I wasn't sure about that one. Alright, let's put more bishops to attack the rook. Oops. There's knight f6 too. Alright. Here we go. Now with black we get a really strong player. Nice. Knight takes f7 is like plus 20, but bishop takes f7 first is only plus 6 after rook takes. Oh no, I mean when I said bishop takes f7, I was talking about knight takes first and then bishop takes rook and then queen takes f7 and then rook at h8. Alright, we're going to berserk here. Try and finish the game with more than 1 minute on the clock. Wow. Alright. This is tempting me to sack a queen. Let's do it. Knight at d4 check next, or rook at f2? Ah, maybe I lost the thread when he wanted to go bishop. Bishop f7. Yeah, not a bad move. It's going to make me think. Not sure where this is going. Alright, so defending e5. If he takes here, then I have rook at b4, mate. Yep. Let's see. Now what? Alright, I failed my mission to end the game quickly. a5, perhaps? I can't... Ah, yeah. Well, that's alright, we come back and defend everything. Now my aim is just to win. That kind of boxes in his king. b5, queen takes, still doesn't get anywhere. c6. Not sure whether I can allow d6 first. And then c6 and then b5 is the idea. Knight helps to cover a lot of squares around the king. c6 and b5. Oh, spoil sport. Alright, I'm going to take a pawn. He's not going to let me play b5. I'll take a pawn for b5. I got knight c5 too. Queen takes... Oh, knight c5, queen takes, then b5. How about that? Let's do it this way. Oh, hang on. b5, take. Oh, got to remove the queen first. Two knights in hand. It's got one check. It's got another two checks. Oh, it actually covers b5. So here, take. No immediate mates. I had bishop takes c7 too. Oh well. That would have been a faster way to do it with the added bonus threat of knight at b6. Ah, he's got a check. Yeah, so different these games from all the 1+0 I was commentating on with the Mighty Triangle and Jasugi Janli and Upper Wizen. So now let's start with the bishop and then the queen to finish. I mean, in 1-0, I wouldn't be focused on playing good moves. I'd just be focused on not fumbling over the mouse, which I normally do. Alright, didn't notice I made the top page. The aim was to come third, but I've got a lot of catching up to do to Stucky. He's still 50 points ahead. What about 4th and 5th? Emphasis. I'm going to go back to knight f6. 3+2 berserk is hard, yeah. I mean, I'm slow at the best of times. Yeah, this didn't go too well. This opening I had before was against gsvc. Check. Now this I'm certainly not familiar with. E1 does take the square away from the knight. But yeah, I only tend to berserk. I reckon... Ooh. Almost tempted to take that, but no, I'll be a bit more sensible and go bishop at f6. Maybe even rook g8 next. Because if take, then knight at h5 is a bit disturbing. So bishop e6 was the idea. Such avoid any smother mates. The lazy MD, Mugwort, do you fancy any guests on stream? Yeah, what do you want to do? I mean, I would normally have a guest if I'm playing Bughouse. Always open to guests playing Bughouse. But yeah, if you have an idea, let me know. Do you mean doing commentary, like a dual commentary, or Or just playing some casual games? So here, take... Let me just focus. Not sure which piece to take. Maybe this one. I was actually looking at Queen e7, take. But then after Queen f3, I'm not sure how that's going to work out. So King d7 allows bishop at f5. That's a bit awkward. I don't like bishop e7 either. I don't like any legal move. It's a bit of a worry when you don't like any legal move. King f7. So yeah, so did you mean... I'm not sure how it works when I'm playing in an arena, or if you just mean doing some casual games, or... I'm not sure how the format would work if you have a co-commentator or a co-streamer or a guest in a voice chat. So take the rook. He's got Queen f3. Alright, I'll do it. So now the main concern is knight at g5 and knight at f5. Could drop the rook first to make him waste one of these pieces here. And probably knight at e5. So if knight at g5 check, doesn't matter which way I go really. I think probably safer on e7. Could maybe even take the pawn. And this one, again, I'm actually looking at king takes g7. I know it's a bit strange. I think there's nothing wrong with taking here. Bishop at f5, king e7. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Yeah, king g7, knight at h5 could be a bit of a problem. I thought I'd be safe in the corner anyway, because in the worst case, the knight covers the smother mate on f7. Bishop at h3. So yeah, he's doing the right thing, checking from a distance. And now back to f7, g7, h8. Yeah, I just played versus Emphasis. Yeah, that was only a couple of games ago. Oh, that was the game you were talking about with all the knight f7 business. Yeah, I can't subscribe because I haven't activated the, what do you call it? The Twitch affiliate. Pawn at or king takes, pawn at h6, king back, queen takes h5. Yeah, alright, this will be a funny one if it works. Oh, I didn't even see that. But I'm hoping to be safe in the corner. Yeah. Yeah, I feel safe. What's the problem? I was actually expecting pawn at h6, king h8, queen takes e5, and that would have been the same finish as if he took d8 now. Yes, this is the finish I was talking about. Yeah, knight at f3 is scary. It's very hard to tell if white had a forced win there, with the king a bit awkwardly placed, running around trying to find a safe home to hide. So, scoreboard 207 GSVC. He's won about 10 or 12 in a row. Finisher dropped a few games here. Maybe he's been berserking. 186. And John Stuckey's paused again. Alright, so did I play Sicko before as well? See, I always end up in an arena playing the same colors against the same people. Actually, I shouldn't say that because Emphasis emphasis we just switch colors, but I often find it happens where you have the same color against the same person. C5. Alright. Why is that move? It surprises me in Crazyhouse C5. And of course you always have to watch out if pawn at E4 is any good. But I think I'm just going to leave it and... No, I'm not going to castle. I just noticed pawn at G4 and then E5 is hanging. I just replace the pawn on D4, I suppose. Now pawn at E4 is a worry, so it's either bishop back or knight G5. Knight G5. Yeah, I go knight G5. So if you pawn at E4 this time, I can. Yeah, Dutchy says I hit the matchmaker in lead chess. Yeah, it's not fair. 3 games against GSVC and TheFinnisher, all playing black. Alright, so what do we have here? I'm even looking at moves like bishop. Nah, I can't play bishop A3 right now. Queen H5 is another option. More aggro. More aggressive option. Queen H5, G6, Queen H6 takes, Queen G7. Rook F8, Knight H7. I like it, I like it. Yeah, we'll start with Queen H5. A knight would be really good for D6 at the moment. See, now I could also think about moves like bishop A3, that the knight's covered. So defending and still some options. Knight takes H7. Doesn't seem to get anywhere. Bishop A3 takes. I'm just going to drop back because his pieces are a bit awkwardly placed at the moment. And once I find time to castle, then bishop A3 is going to cause him some serious worries. Now, probably the best black can do is take twice on E5. I'm just going to ignore that and go bishop A3. Because, well, you can drop a knight back on F8 after all the exchanges. Ah, okay. What, I really don't have mate? Oh, that's funny. I guess I don't. I'll have to find something. Bishop at H5. Yeah, you shouldn't assume that you just have mate. It is actually good to think just a micro amount. Nothing really springs to mind. So I just blundered a knight on G5, anticipating H takes. Knight F4. Oh, but that knight was needed to stay in guard E7. I wonder if he realized that he wasn't getting mated the whole time. But yeah, after H6, probably sack on F7. Look good, and then keep the pin on the knight on G6. Try to find a way to build up. Who's next? I think I can make this... oh, not Guilty King again. Everyone's favorite opponent. Take that. Knight D7. Bishop comes back. Alright, I'll I really want him to take my rook, but he's not doing it. Maybe pawn at d5 to cover c4. I could just let him take. I mean, develop the pawn and the bishop. It looks okay too. Alright, we have a massive pawn chain. Yeah, he just played g4 in Crazyhouse. That's what he always does. But it's... I wonder if queen takes rook is a worry. I'm just going to ignore it because I got the knight defending at the worst I can castle. So bishop f2, is it worth it? Doesn't really do much. I can't see a follow-up, so knight takes. Yeah, so this is what I was looking at before. Take back here. So, it's not a fancy game, but I'm not going for anything too wild at the moment. Trying to set up for some pawn at c2. And rook at, knight takes, pawn takes, king takes. I have a rook and a knight left in hand. Not exactly sure how to respond to this one. If I drop a rook, is that any benefit? I suppose it is. Drop a rook here. I mean, a queen's better than a rook, right? How to block this one? Maybe this knight takes, and the knights are linked, stopping the pawn and bishop. Yeah, I don't really see much here. I think it's the wrong decision to go for the attack via c2 and d1 at the moment. I don't quite have the right pieces. So now, I mean, he's bothering me with rook at e8 and rook at c8 stuff, but if I have a free move, now would be a good time to go pawn at c2. What was that? That was a pawn. What's he doing? I have no idea what he's doing. Like, you can't play like this, come on. It's just going to be like mate in 4. Two queens. Two queens in hand. Yeah, the knight doesn't actually help, but the two queens certainly do. Alright, he's gone a bit wild with the sex. Where are we up to? Place number 7. A couple of retirees ahead of me. Yeah, I think the third is going to be a bit hard to catch, but we'll try and get to 100 before I retire. So there could be another 8 wins or 10 wins or so, depending on if anyone resigns or move 1 again. So all the black games I lost today, my opponents have been playing very well, especially this guy, Artur Kolabus. He played a very nice game with white pieces. He might be a 2000 blitz. And the way he played, I thought he'd be like 2400 blitz. He does some early h6. I'm never quite sure whether to sack or what. Alright. Knight takes e7, or just leave it there for the moment. Maybe just leave it there and decide what to do later. Just go king h1, waiting move, wait for him to castle. Yeah, I wouldn't mind if he gives me that knight. If I can find a way. I'm looking at queen a4 check. c6. See if it goes anywhere. Knight takes e7. Not that convincing. Perhaps take here after all. And now bring the knight back to f5. So this knight's hanging, g7's hanging. I'm not sure how he covers everything at once. I thought he should have just gone queen takes e7. I still have to decide what to do with the bishop. And then just answer queen a4 with knight back to c6. I mean, sometimes you can, if your king is very safe, you can throw in moves like bishop at a6. Trying to deflect the b pawn away from the pinned knight. But if the queen runs away from f3, of course he can always take here, and there's always going to be a hole on g2. It didn't look so bad though. Yeah, so difficult decision. I think he should cover g7 and then maybe take back on e4 after d takes c. Wasn't expecting this one, g6. Really trying to preserve his material. Bishop at e7, bishop at g7 to consider. Knight takes h6, bishop takes h6. Everything looks good. Yeah, knight takes h6. I wouldn't normally play this move. Only because I see the threat to go pawn at g7. I don't think it's the best move though. Far from it. Yeah, I can't resist a sack now though. No, knight takes f7. Knight g5 check possibly to follow? Or should I wait and just take back on c4? Oh, what? Can't predict any of his moves. Knight takes queen. He's not a forced mate after knight takes d1. Oh, just take back on b2. Still looking for something after knight g5, king e7. With another knight in hand, you'd assume I have something. I don't actually see it. So I'm going to drop a bishop from a distance, maybe c4. So this retains the option of king e7 to harass the knight with pawn at g5. I'm just trying to gain access to the d5 square. Still not easy. Pawn at e6. I'll trade here first. Bishop at e6 I'm looking at. What? Really not predicting any of his moves at all. Didn't really see anything wrong with queen takes back. we had a pattern like this earlier. So I'm waiting for him to take something down here, and then I can show you what the pattern was. It was the exact pattern with 2 knights, and because if you don't have the right pieces, then the double check doesn't really lead to anything. But if you have an extra knight in hand, then it's going to end up in a force mate when the rook takes c8 in the end. He's making space. Maybe I should go pawn at a7 now. It still works. With knight b6 coming next. Yeah, this one's going to be hard to defend. Funnily enough, I still don't actually see mate. 8. Knight c5. Yeah, pawn at b7 to finish. Well, he's got queen d7, of course. Yeah, so just quickly, I was looking at rook a7, knight b6, king b8, knight at d7, take, knight takes, king a8. And I actually need an extra knight to do the smother mate with queen at b8, knight b6, knight at c7. Otherwise, probably just have to defend for in the short term. So the arena's got 55 minutes to go. I may not stay the whole time. Let's see. Berserk Ninja Sword. I can take that one. Maybe this time just come back, let him take on e4, e5 if he wants. Yep. Very aggressive. This is a very loose game from both of us, actually. Pieces flying everywhere. Very inaccurate game. Yeah. Knight on e4 is just sitting out there without any support. Knight c5. Make use of the bishop again. So bishop d2 looks forced to make room, otherwise bishop d3 is a mate. Anyone else joined in the last hour or so? Racing up the leaderboard. Water and Gaming, only played a few games. Legion Destroyer. Yeah, I noticed a lot of players only played about 10 or 12 games. Oh, we finally get a white. We'll see if it makes any difference. G6. Shall we try the rapid variant line with knight g5? Now who was that again? Was it against Crazyhouse? I was commentating on that, I should remember. Knight c6 castle. h6, let's get rid of that. Pawn at g5. And take this one. I'm gonna do a move like pawn at f5. Might not be thinking of the right position, but assuming he's going to take this, assuming he's going to take back on f5, have a response queen h5. And in some positions it's a bit awkward to defend the rook on f7. e6, probably just take here. Okay, very sharp position. What is the best way to attack? F takes, bishop takes, knight takes. There's also pawn at g6, there's queen g6 check. Queen g6 check. Say rook g7. Pawn at f7, king h8. Not sure whether I feel so safe in those sort of positions. What else is there? Knight e4, knight at f4. I don't know, let's just take something too complicated to work out. Yeah, again, I don't see anything other than bishop takes e6. And now we try and hunt down the rook. With the bishop or the pawn, does it make any difference? We'll go the pawn. I'm not sure that it matters too much. If he doesn't move it, I guess I'd rather just take it with the pawn. In case he plays knight at e5 or something. I mean, rather give back a pawn than give back a bishop. Another move to consider is bishop at d5. I'm just hitting all the pieces on the diagonal. Yep, so probably do this one now without thinking too much. And queen takes h6 if I would like an extra pawn. I'm going to decide which way the pawn is better placed on. So you've pawn at f7, king h8, queen takes. Looks dangerous, but where's the actual finish? Pawn at h7, king f8 promote, or king h8, knight at f7 check. And g takes. So obvious threat, rook at g8. He has to guard the square g8 or pick up the pawn at h7. And now we look for the finish, but still don't see it. Rook at g8 is not enough. Rook at e8. Yeah, rook at e8 looks good. Got a lot of defenders covering any possible counterattack. Yeah. So I could pick up the queen. He has to defend that way. Queen at g8, take, and I think that's enough. I hope I calculated this right. It'd be bad to spoil a position this good. Yeah, pawn and f7, rook it somewhere. Should be enough. Nah, he's trying to hold on, but no gsvc. I don't want you to talk. Here we go, black again. Now, perhaps this time switch up the opening. It was knight f6 last time. He's waiting for me to berserk, but no thanks, Mr. Octopus. Go e4, e5. So my opponent's always throwing in this h6 move before castling, but I'm just going to castle first. h3. I'm going to go super aggressive against him. He was anticipating it. Bishop at h4. Rook takes. Yeah, alright. We'll grab that one and pawn at g4. Take here. And coming back to defend. Alright, so I wiped out all these pawns. And now what is the question? Knight d4 or pawn at g4 or not a lot of other options. Knight d4. So I'm just coming closer to the squares e2 and f3. Bishop at f4, bishop at h4 rather. How do we use the pawn? There is rook at g4. Is it any good? Pawn at e2, knight takes, knight f3 check. King g2 perhaps. Can't see anything terribly forcing, so I'm gonna go with pawn at g4. Because knight g5 doesn't combine well with all the bishops on the dark squares. The bishops are blocked out if knight g5. I'd like to pick up another pawn for f3 or e2. Not exactly sure what to do with my rook in hand as well. That was just a waiting move like c6. c6 d5. It's more than a waiting move. This is one of the best way to play Crazyhouse that I have ever seen. What do you mean by best way? I've lost quite a few games today. I think it's been a horrendous day for me. Especially with the black pieces. Yeah, b5, b4, another option, but I'd rather trade more pieces. d5, take. I don't want to take back with the queen because there's a knight e7 check, but I think the pawns and the knight will be very useful to start. Or as soon as I get a pawn, I can just drop it on e2 or f3. No, it's actually been a pretty bad day for me so far. d5? Still not sure now with this defensive move. Take. If I trade here, the bishop helps to cover all the light squares. So now I actually think it's better to start with b5. Maybe even throw in a5 and trade a pawn that way. Trading a pawn via d5 is a little bit risky. Here I have the option to take the bishop. But no, I'll be more sensible and take this way. Always got to be very careful if your opponent can trade a lot of pieces in this sort of position, because he can probably win back the queen. Thanks for the follow, Ilan. King g8, pawn f7, king h8. but I think it's way too exposed on e7. So pawn f7, king h8, rook e8, queen takes, pawn takes, rook takes, and knight f7, king g8 is what I'm looking at. See, rook g8, you can't answer knight takes because there's a mate in 2 with f8 promote and knight f7 checkmate. So queen at rook at e8. No, I guess I can respond rook at f8. He can pick up the queen, and then that's not mating for him. I still have rook in hand if we trade rooks. I might do it that way instead. I feel a bit safer. Other ideas to attack. Pawn at g2 was a good defensive move, so it's going to take some time to build up some attacking forces via bishop at e3 check, perhaps. I don't want to give him a bishop for e6 right now, though. If I have a move in hand, I'd rather defend via bishop at h5, for instance. So possibly expecting a trade here, and then we'll see what happens. Could actually be good not to let him move the knight with a check when we trade this way, because... Alright, let me think for a sec. I don't see any immediate threat in one move. Perhaps I could... Move like bishop at e5 could be good too. But the piece I need is a pawn. Not sure about this one. Only idea of this move seems to be something at h2, but then I really want a pawn for h2. I don't have a pawn. Maybe you'll give me a pawn. You'll be kind enough. It wasn't exactly the pawn I wanted. Anyway, let's get going. 27 seconds. If takes here, I'm thinking even just grab the pawn back, because if I lose the queen, then pawn at f2 does look somewhat dangerous. Hard to say if I'm going to have enough pieces to mate. I don't feel so good about this position though. Complicated. Yeah. He's removing a defender away. Knight at g3. So this is what I'm looking at. Knight f1. Bishop f4. That's why I keep talking about this pawn that I want. And that is it. So not g3 because king h3 is safe, but pawn at g3. And I have g3 covered by a bishop 4 takes g3 and rook at h2 mate. So that was a nice finish. And I thought, there were lots of other options for white. I thought he could have just grabbed some material, taken the queen. I really didn't see a force mate until that bishop moved away from h4. So, don't know if I'm going to get to 100 today. I might get going pretty soon. So, not sure how to say your name. Ilan Romeo. Ilan Romeo 14. There is a way to speed this up, isn't there? Open up a new tab. It's been a while since I got a game. So it looks like GSVC running away with it. I think I'm the only person to win in the last 20 games or so against him. Nobody's going to catch the finisher for second. So they're battling again. I wonder how many times these guys have played each other today. But they always seem to have exciting games. And of course, from this view, you can't tell what pieces they have in hand. Actually, someone must have won. Because I'm playing the finisher again. So, Wurty, can I get a Lee chess tourney? What does that mean? I have to decipher what you're saying. Can I get a Lee chess tourney? I'm gonna go knight g5. Knight takes f6, the other obvious move. Queen d5. Go safe looking option, bishop e2. Host a tourney. Oh, me host a tourney, do you mean? Here. Actually, bishop takes, hang on. There's some trick. Bishop takes f3, queen takes. Bishop takes check. Takes, queen takes, knight at e2. I don't actually think that's so good for white, so I'm going to take back with the knight. No, I'm towards the end of the show. I've already been going for 2 hours or so. The tournament's about to finish. c4, queen f5 maybe. Bishop d3, knight at e4. No, queen h5, still in book. Alright, what move can I play to throw him out of book? What about pawn at h3? I think he wants to sack the queen. Maybe I should prevent that via bishop e3. Alright, focus. Bishop e3. So inviting him to Blunderman's Lee Chess is an anarcho-communist commune, so everyone can get a tourney. As long as you ask for one. Everyone wants a tourney in their own name. Knight g4. Alright. Not exactly sure what he's up to. He wants to deflect the knight away from f3. Hello, Crystal Dash. So, pawn at h3 looks like the most obvious move to me. Just take that back. Yeah, I expected bishop at h6. Perhaps a move like queen e1 or queen e2. Queen e2 keeps an eye on this queen on h5 in case there is some tricky knight discovery later. So the idea of pawn on h3 so he can't replace another knight and pressure e3. I've got some options here. Knight at g3, pawn at g4 if I want to harass the queen. What else? Get rid of these bishops defending knight at g4. That'd be good to go knight at g4. Thanks for the follow, Z Nation Chess. Not necessarily sure that I want to take this right now because queen takes is safe. Genna, you should. Yeah, especially in the last game I was playing some dodgy attacking moves. I'm sure it's been, if you look at the normal Shield page, it says Mugwort is streaming the whole time. You haven't been paying attention, or has the next game appeared instantly for you? You've been lucky with the pairings. Knight takes, I don't have a lot of choice now. There's knight g5 perhaps. He didn't pay attention. Problem with knight g5 is if I want to take with a knight and trade queens, he's got bishop takes e3 check. f5. What do we do about f5? Here, take pawn takes. I don't like that. I'm going to take here. And then think, g takes. Unexpected. What's his trick? He's always got some trick. This guy, the finisher. A knight e5. Trade queens that way. Possible. What about d5? And it might be better not to go pawn at d5 because then Potentially there's some long distance move with the bishop at c3. Placement, I mean, not move. Stumble over my words when I'm too busy looking at the clock. 31 seconds. Yep. Bishop at c3, take. Bishop at e4 is a worry. So perhaps now a good time to trade queens when the knight is not threatening anything. I was even thinking about dropping a pawn on f7 first. Bishop at g3. Yeah. Probably now's the time to trade in. Oh no. So take. Alright, this might end in a draw. Expecting moves like bishop d7 joining the rooks. Queen a8, rook a8. Rook at take. Kind of running out of pieces in that case. Queen takes e7 also possible, knight g3, h takes, queen takes, bishop at h2. I must take a rook. And knight at h5 is a sneaky trick. Alright, come on, Finisher. Are you still in book? Let's see a brilliant novelty on move 27. Come on, let's see it. I'm going to take the knight just to be tricky. Knight at f7? Knight h5, I'm looking at king f8. Nah, I'd rather take the queen. Too many angles, h8, f6. Can't cover everything, surely. Queen h8. Rook g8 to finish. Sorry, what am I talking about? Rook e7 and pawn h5. And bishop h4. No, I want to do it with the pawn. Pawn h4. There we go. Alright. Good game, the finisher. Very exciting. I was half expecting bishop d7 instead of knight at f6. Just to join the rooks a little bit earlier. I'm not sure what happens after queen takes e7, knight takes g3. It's a bit of a mess. Can't tell who's attacking, who's defending. So some revenge with the white pieces against the top two guys. So only 28 minutes to go. GSVC, isn't your hand getting sore yet? We've been playing for 5.5 hours. It's so early in the morning for me, I have to hold my head up with my hand. Zeka, ZHIK. Jika, I don't know how you say that one either. Castle. Knight c3. So the lazy MD, I'm not sure whether, or maybe if he's streaming is not what he's saying. He's streaming in the game or the arena chat. But if you have an idea, I'd be quite happy. If you want to be a guest on my stream, you're very welcome. I just think it works better if you're doing an arena like this, a shield arena where you're trying to score a lot of points. It's probably better to just go a single commentator. Alright, do I have any idea what I'm doing? Knight takes g6. Usually respond after knight takes e5 with pawn at f6 or pawn at h6. Not quite sure which one is better. Bishop f2, you normally just sidestep with the king. And take this one. So that knight's important to get rid of, because you don't want the queen hanging if you want to take on g7. Bishop f2 is still safe. So one idea here is to go knight at e7 to distract the knight. That's one of the points of pawn at h6. Crystal Dash says, do you have bits disabled? One day soon, I'll probably, if I get a few more requests like yours to donate, I'll probably activate I just haven't activated the, what do you call it, the affiliate page on Twitch. So it looks like mate in 3 with knight at f7. There we go. But yeah, the only money I've ever made in Crazyhouse is those 2 tournaments last year. So if you go to the YouTube channel, you scroll all the way down to prize money tournaments. There's 2 different tournaments there where I won 300 US in each one. So one, I think, sponsored by chess.com, the other sponsored by Nelson Moore, a player called Nelson Moore. And it was just like a personal sponsor, a personal donation to get some strong players over in his tournament. But all that money I've used to donate to Leechess, to make some donations to streamers. And don't think I've kept any money I kept for myself. I bought a microphone with, you can see it right here. And a couple of streams ago, I actually crunched the microphone down on the cord, and the cord snapped, and I was wondering why the sound wasn't working. Well, it's one of those swiveling microphones. Metin, the player formerly known as Ishak, 48, from Turkey. Ah, he's got something new, e5. Now, is there any other reasonable move except knight e4 in this position? I wonder if Katask is watching. Bishop g4 I don't think is any good. Bishop f5 kind of commits the bishop too early. I think a6 may even be the only other reasonable move. I'm just going to go knight e4 anyway. I kind of... h5, are you serious? I never know when you're serious or not, Katask. h5? A6 here, or knight at h4? Normally knight at h4 when the bishop comes out too early. I might give h5 a try next time then. So probably a6 before, or e6 is also possible. But then there's that queen g4 move again. I really didn't like that queen g4 move last time. Played it against John, he says. So the problem with e6 is always queen g4. And I really don't like it when the queen gets to g4. Objectively, it's no good, but it's not the sort of move you study exactly. h5. So bishop at g6, the obvious defense against knight takes e4, and also a sack on f7. So I think now is a good time to go to e6. Now there's no queen g4, and also the knight is hanging here on g5. It looks like the knight is misplaced because there's no response pawn to h4. So he's sacking early. I find it, yeah, I mean, if you watch my streams, I'm sure you're aware that I very often play moves that I find amusing, which are not necessarily the best moves. What do we do here? Knock away this knight. Queen g5. I can play queen g5. Alright, I'm going to do queen g5. What stops queen g4, because then the pawn hangs here. And I've even got crazy ideas to sack the queen on e3 at some point. And it also stops knight takes e4, because knight takes g2 in response. So knight at f3 is what I'm looking at. And if the g file opens, then the knight on g3 is pinned. Assuming he's going to sack the queen. And also the knight has to stay and cover e2. So I like how the bishops defend my king. And there's no hold on c7 because, yeah, there just doesn't seem to be any way in if he wants to launch some sort of counterattack. So that means he has to play for defense and try and keep the material. And maybe move like knight e4 to stop the queen sacking on g3. But I guess if you want to avoid that move order, you got to play d5 on move 2. Because then if they push e5, you can respond with d4. Because in that case, white hasn't had time to play d4 himself. Bishop d2, can I just sack here? Queen at e2. And otherwise there's a mate in 2 with queen a1, knight e2. Lazy MD is also streaming. That'll be good to catch later. Okay, let's see if gsvc wants to repeat on g6. How much time do we have left? 20 minutes. He is, okay. Well, it's up to my opponent to find an improvement. He's going to stream snipe this time, so I've got to be careful what I say. Lead him down the garden path by saying some rubbish. Alright, so when do we pull the trigger and sack on f7? Maybe just one more preparation move, bishop e3? Or sack now? Take pawn at e6? Probably bishop takes. What has he got in hand? A knight and a bishop. Yeah, let's plunge the knight in. Ah, he doesn't have a bishop. I miscounted. I thought he had a bishop for e8, but he's probably got to defend with the queen, or I don't know. Knight at h8. I want to see knight at h8 on the board. That would be funny. Knight at h8? No. Alright, it's probably a better move. Pawn at d7, so covering some of the light squares. Knight at h8. I mean, I know it's not a good move, but I've got to try and fool you somehow. Yeah, well, if I come back, there's e6 or something, so probably should just take this. Try to open the f file somehow. Bishop at h6. Yeah, I mean, he's got tricks on the diagonal. Should be a bit careful. Perhaps bishop at d5 check. Get rid of that knight before it sacks on d4, and knight at g5. Or do I want to trade some pawns first? Knight at h6 could be worth a shot too. It's quite useful to get rid of that bishop somehow on g7. And knight at g5 I didn't think was going anywhere. Alright, what do we have? Got to trade some more pieces. So it's either bishop g5 or e5 or d5. Rook at f7. Probably just blunders the rook. King h1, prophylaxis. I really do need a pawn. I'm going to go e5. And take the knight, or probably take the pawn on d6 instead. Pawn at f7, king e7, bishop g5. It does look pretty decent. So rook in hand, not exactly the piece that I want right now. Bishop takes d4, well, I've got no choice there. He's trading for me, which is very much appreciated. I wonder if he'll trade some more pieces for me too. I might as well take the time to go rook at e8 check, now that the knight's pinned. And queen takes. Thinking about just sacking here, but yeah, now I've got to watch out for the counterattack. If I'm intending on doing what I'm going to do, hang on, there. I don't actually see a counterattack, so I'm going to play a risky move, bishop at c7. Of course, I could start many other ways. Queen f7, queen g7, for instance, but because I don't see a direct counterattack via knight at h3, g takes rook h1, king h1, he doesn't have enough pieces. And the reason I did this is because there's multiple angles of attack. He's got to watch f7, d6, d8, f6, so many different angles. And the main concern is the time, and here we rely on the increment. Okay, bishop d6, very tempting. I'm going to start with bishop takes knight and knight at g4. No, I could save the knight, knight e4. Yeah, knight e4 is much better. Oh, I know what he's thinking of. It doesn't work. So whatever you're thinking of, GSVC, it doesn't work. That's a very definitive answer. Whatever you're thinking, it doesn't work. Knight e4, yeah. He's probably hoping for knight at g4 and then king g5 and king h5. Stuff. What? Yeah, queen f6. I already calculated this and then I forgot again. And bishop f7. Yeah. So he's saying he missed rook at e8 check. Actually, now that I'm on a roll, I was actually going to stop and go to work, try and catch the train in 12 minutes, so it might actually be a good time to stop and check the standings. So GSVC 241, unbeatable, uncatchable. Finisher finishes on, well, not finishes, but 217 points. And plug me, yes, I did before LazyMD. I said you're streaming, and I forgot. Oh no, I forgot to pause because I got two tabs. I got to close the other tab. So LazyMD is or was also streaming, and if you have an idea, just drop us a line anytime. I'm just thinking in an event like this where I'm trying to score a lot of points, it's probably better to do a single commentary. But if you want to just do a casual session or you have another idea, please drop us a line, because I'm only too glad to hear your ideas. D5, take. Yeah, maybe trade everything. So also check out the LazyMD streaming. And just, I couldn't see it. Maybe he finished already. But I saw it before. Check out the video later if you got it on demand. What's happening here? I didn't have to take that back with the queen. So this is definitely the last game. Oh, I have a trick, but he has a queen e7 in response. Just calculating. Yeah, I'm looking at some funny lines with various queen swaps, but I don't actually think it leads anywhere. So I'm actually just considering pulling the queen back to c4. I'll have another quick look. There are other options to take here. Whose king is less safe though? No, I think my king is less safe. Queen c4. So I was looking at queen takes rook, knight c2, bishop at b7 to come. Looking at queen e4 check, queen e7, take, take. Queen at a4, queen at b5, take, take. I just didn't see it working out too well for me. So pawn at e3 would be the safest way to play. Could also possibly bishop e3, but then at some point there'll be a pawn at f4, the queen is tied down. I didn't see this one. At the moment, hang on, just give me a second. I don't want to play queen e2, it's a bit too defensive, but queen b3 gets hit. And queen c3 looks very awkward. But I prefer a more active move than queen e2. At the moment, I normally teach chess in schools to groups of kids, but at the moment I'm just in the office making some bookings for next year. It keeps me very busy. So definitely last game. Two knights. I can't find a square to hit the queen. So bishop at e4 attacks in multiple directions. It's quite bothersome. Knight at d4, knight at d2. Knight at c6 is the other choice. I was looking at knight at c6. Knight takes, queen takes, bishop takes, even castles, but then the counterattack is too fierce. No good at all. Knight at d4. Very suspicious position. Legion Destroyer, thanks for the follow. Running out of time as well. Perhaps a bishop at a4 check. Bishop at c6 check could be worth it. A shot. I have to do something to counterattack. So expecting... Actually, I'm hoping for pawn at d7, because that would remove a potential deadly attacking piece. Yep, I'm going to take the rook, and intending to sack the queen, but just having another look at other moves. No good. And castles. Alright, so I sacked a few pieces, but trying to achieve some relative safety for the king. I want to block that one, as safely as I possibly can. Knight at e1. 2 knights in hand is a bit of a worry. Trying to keep the bishop covering c1, but I may be allowing the promotion now. So I think I have to attack quickly. Maybe rook at b8. It's going to be an exciting finish to the last game. Looking at rook takes, could even leave it there and just go rook at b8. Or knight takes c1 queen, rook at b8. He's got a few pieces to chow through here before he gets to the king. Pawn at b7, starting with another option. Could leave pawn at b7 for later though. Okay. Yep. So if knight takes, the knight can block, so so just take here again, or yeah. I think rook takes e1, I'll just take back with the bishop. This way there's no danger, so take there. Alright, maybe a little bit lucky to get away with this one if I do end up winning. It's not over yet. Knight at b7, knight at d6. Hang on, that's I'd rather go this way because I don't want the queen guarding c7 and c8. And then knight at f5. Yeah, this is more likely to lead to mate. Knight e5 or knight at f4. Or what squares do I need to cover? h3 g4. And that's it. Okay, GG's. Pause. So that was a lot of fun. Started very sloppily with a few berserks. Lucky to win a game with half a second left on the clock, and then lost a few bad games with black, but came back pretty strongly in the end. So if you were watching the stream, thank you for your contributions and your liveliness in the chat. It took a bit of time, but I'll post to YouTube, and congratulations. The winners, GSVC takes the shield, the finisher, John Stuckey, and I managed to sneak into 4th place, but it looks like Water in Gaming might overtake me if he's still going. Yeah, I might catch it on the iPhone, but I got to run for now. So have a good week, everybody. It's a Tuesday morning here in Sydney, off to work, and see you soon.